My name is Shyah. I'm from Brooklyn.
What do you currently do for work?
I'm a marketing director at Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Well, my title is National Director of Entertainment and Alumni Engagement. So I am responsible for getting alumni. Boys and Girls Clubs is a national organization, and there's tons of people that used to go to a boys club as a kid, a Boys and Girls Club as a kid, and now they're like Denzel Washington or Kerry Washington or Misty Copeland. So a part of my job and responsibility is getting those people back into the fold, sharing their story, creating marketing campaigns that include them, and getting them to give back to the local clubs in some way. So yeah, that's my thing. I've been doing this specifically for about 6 years.
What business are you starting?
Well, what business am I starting? I like to think of it as like I'm creating a lifestyle for myself that's really aligned with what I'm here to do. And how that shows up tangibly is in the form of 3 different businesses that I feel like I'm working on simultaneously. One being an extension of what I do for Boys and Girls Clubs, but helping influencers and entertainers develop their own philanthropic footprint or platform, so to speak. So just strategizing what influencers can do to really like make an impact socially on our environment and our communities. I'm a doula, and I'm also creating a Lineage of Love, which is a womb care organization that supports moms and moms to be. And then I write. And so I'm also creating like a publishing company where I can share my writing to also other people that write in the realm of like spirituality, spiritual healing. So it sounds like a lot to me when I'm saying it, but I'm literally working on these things simultaneously because they all exist within me.
How do you manage all of your projects and work full time?
I don't know, I just do. Like, all of it is burning inside of me, so it's just like I have to do it. I write a lot.
We got cut off here. As you can hear, there was plenty of background noise from airplanes to lawnmowers. However, what Shyah does explain is that she plans daily, weekly, and monthly in alignment with the goals that she sets for herself. And she also has 2 other business partners that she coordinates with on a Lineage of Love, which again is a womb care organization that supports moms and moms to be. And really what keeps her going is the passion that she has for what she does. She uses most of, if not all of her downtime and fun time working on her passion. This is truly something that is intricately weaved into her life. I apologize about the audio. Now back to the video. How did a Lineage of Love get started?
Yes, Lineage of Love got started from a dream. I did doula training a few months before I started the Lineage of Love. How I got to doula training was I attended a birth. One of my friends is having a baby, invited me to be at the birth, and it completely took me over. And I knew that what I wanted to do and the space I needed to be in was in the delivery room, supporting moms during that process. So then I did doula training, and come to find out, well, I kind of knew this, but there's not many companies that are like, hey, we're looking to hire a doula. It's really work that you go out and you do on your own. And so I was praying on it. I was asking my spirit guides, I was asking my ancestors, like, what is this work? What am I to be doing with it? And it literally came to me like, you have to create this, the name and everything. It's called a Lineage of Love. And it appeared to me in a dream. And even the person that I'm working with showed up in my dream. And I called her up the next day. I told her about it. And she got chills and started to cry because she had a dream the night before where she asked her grandmother, who was a midwife, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? And then she went to sleep, and then I called her, and she woke up the next morning to my call saying, you were in my dream, and we was starting this womb company. And so she's like, she had just done doula training, and it was just the time. And so we started meeting weekly and developing a Lineage of Love. Still developing a Lineage of Love, but that's how it got started. And right now we offer our doula services to women in the Atlanta area, and taking it from there and seeing where it goes.
How did you know you were going to be a doula?
After the birth that I attended, I didn't sleep that night afterwards. I was like, what was this? Like, what came over me? I didn't have the right words for what it is I wanted to be or what I wanted to do, but I know it was so purposeful and so fulfilling for me. Shortly after that, I had another friend who was expecting, and she was like, can you be my doula? And I'm like, well, I don't have training or anything for that. She's like, I don't care. I just want your energy in the space. And I'm like, okay. But after that, I started to look it up, and I started to be curious, like, what does it take to be a doula? What exactly is a doula? You know, I had my own version of what it meant to be a doula and work in that space, but once I started to research, I was finding all sorts of articles and organizations that do doula training, and it seemed so on point and aligned with just who I am and what's important to me, but it also was attainable, because one of the concerns I had was like, well, I'm already like making my way into like this certain career field, and I know sometimes I get caught up in the whole starting over thing. So I was just like, what is this? But it seemed very attainable. Like, I can go to a training and get certified, and so I started to take those steps. And then it's like, once I got into it, it was like, no, you are a doula. This isn't something that you do, you know, on the side. This is like a lifestyle, a career.
How long have you been working on it?
I'm going to say it's been 2 years in the making. A Lineage of Love itself, the name and the business, was since December of last year. December 2018 it came to be. But the doula training was done earlier that year, and then the birth that I attended was actually late 2016. So it's been brewing, but A Lineage of Love itself, I would say, was birthed December 2018.
How do you work a 9-to-5, travel for work, and focus on your passion?
In the pockets all the time. So yeah, I work, my standard hours are like a Monday to Friday, pretty much 9 to 5, 9 to 6. And I do travel quite often for work, and I spend time on airplanes. I usually will take my laptop out and I'm writing, or I'm journaling. I'm working on something else that's like a passion project for me. One of the things that I recently took on was just knowing the way like my life is going and what I'm being called to do is carving out time when I'm at home, whether it's after work or on the weekend, but like in my calendar I have time to do the things that's going to move these passion projects that I'm turning into businesses, move them forward. So I think that's how I juggle it all. My job has financed my doula training. You know, if I wasn't working, then, you know, I don't know, that's my income, and using the income that I have allows me to finance things and the trainings that I need to do the work that I'm being called to do. I would say luckily for me is what I'm doing right now, I do feel passionate about. So it takes a lot of energy, but at the same time, I think it's not so misaligned that, because I know sometimes you can be in a situation that's so misaligned that it really zaps you of all the energy you have to work on anything else, and that's very real, and I've been in those spaces before. But I think right now I'm just grateful that I use the pockets that I have, whether it's the time I'm on an airplane or just working my schedule out, so that I'm carving 2, 3, 4 hours a day during the week, and sometimes my whole weekend is dedicated to that. And then with the doula work, it's been interesting too, because having a full-time job, babies come when they come. So that's been interesting too, to navigate being on call for a mom, you know, while at work. So it's all this one big juggling game, but I love it. I love it because it's just showing me how much it actually takes. Because the other part, what I want to do is not a standalone thing. So it's a perfect training ground for me to learn how to juggle all these things and feel good about it, and also enlist assistance. It's not meant for me to do all this stuff by myself, which is why it always feels good to be able to partner with someone who's equally passionate about it, and we can build something together and lean on each other.
How did you get your first client as a doula?
Yeah, so my first client as a doula was word of mouth. So I worked with 2 friends, but my first, I say, official client outside of that came through a friend. So it's been mostly word of mouth. My friends sharing with their friends, I had one young lady that I did doula training with in New York at Mama Glow, and she was awesome. Her name's Cree, and Cree introduced me to one of her friends that had recently moved to Atlanta that was expectant, and we met and like bonded instantly. And I was there. She was my client. I worked with her and her family. And so it's been about 6 months now in baby stages. I just got a picture from them, and she was just sharing all the updates with her baby, and it just made me so happy. But that, again, came from word of mouth.
Did you always want to be an entrepreneur?
No. Simple answer. And to be completely honest, I still don't want to be an entrepreneur. It's not a burning desire that I have. This is going to be like very millennial of me, but I don't really like titles like that. And entrepreneur is a title that I'm not vying for. I'm just not. It seems like, from my vantage point, it seems like a lot of responsibility, a lot of pressure. Because when I think of an entrepreneur, I think the whole mindset of like creating something from the ground up, a lot of times doing it by yourself, dealing with like all the trials and tribulations of something emotionally, financially. And in a way, that's exactly what I'm doing. But for some reason, I never had this burning desire like, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. I also really like stability. So, you know, I work my 9 to 5. I'm passionate about it. It feels good. But I think what happens with people like me and a lot of people, you get called to do something. And so being called to do birth work, there's not a system that I found that I feel aligned with that already exists that I can go into and just bring my resume and get a job. So I think because I'm being called to this thing I'm super passionate about, I actually have to create the landscape and the structure for how that's going to work, which is the work of an entrepreneur. So I feel like by default, when it's all said and done, yeah, I'll be an entrepreneur. But really, I'm just following a passion, and that's where it's taking me.
How much of this is passion and how much of it is for profit?
For me, right now, it's all passion. Straight up. And that's not sustainable because passion doesn't pay the bills, and passion doesn't always allow you to like upkeep a certain type of lifestyle. And I do think when you take on the role as an entrepreneur, you create something like a business, the business has to run and has to run efficiently. And in the capitalistic society that we live in, it takes money to run anything. And so I think there has to be for me, there has to be a healthy balance between the profit and the passion. Right now, as I'm building it, I'm like heavy passion, but I'm also building a structure for profit. You know, I'm not doing this for free, so to speak. I'm being led to do it and creating spaces. I have to think about that all the time. Like, you're providing this service, you know, how much do you charge for this service? What does it entail? So I have to ask myself those tough questions and even have those conversations with, you know, the partners that I'm working with. So the profit part is really important. And I know, you know, it trips me up sometimes because when I think of entrepreneurship, I think of the profit side of it, which hasn't historically been a strong point for me, like that sort of business acumen. I know that it exists within me. It's something I'm definitely gonna have to tap into. Definitely gonna have to have a mentor and like some people to bring me back down to earth, because I really do live in a space of impact. But you know, I also want a lifestyle that really works for me, and I'm all about like breaking generational curses. I'm gonna have children one day, and I definitely want to build something that I can leave for them and for generations to come. So finding that balance is going to be key for me. It's going to be a really interesting journey, but I'm excited about it.
What is Love Lifted Me, and what is your plans with it?
Yeah, so I've always I never considered myself a writer. I was about to say I've always considered myself a writer, but I've always found myself writing and reading my writing and getting really inspired by what it was that I was writing. And every now and then I would share it, and other people might find inspiration in it or empowerment in it. And so I started this blog, which I call a ministry. It wasn't something that I was looking to have it be a career or anything like that. It was just a ministry of me sharing my journey, what I was dealing with, what I was going through. And I get good feedback. And again, like, the purpose was for someone, whoever, to be touched by my experiences, but also, not selfishly, but kind of, it was also for myself. So I can, like, document and journey my own, life and my own progress. So that's sort of how it started. And then it came to me one day. So weird that I keep saying stuff came to me, but that's how I live my life. Like, I literally, in a moment, get a hunch or a message to do something, and it's usually very unyielding when it's definitely something I'm supposed to do. But I got this hunch to write a book, and I'm like, huh? And it's like, yeah, and you already have it written, actually. Like, it's your journal, but share it, because there are other people that are journeying and going through spaces, and they can really benefit from what it is that you've gone through. And it's just been like over a 2-year period of my life. I went through so much spiritually and emotionally, and I've been called to share it. And so it's not a body of work that I want to, like, send out to publishing companies in hopes that someone will pick it up, because it's very personal, and it's also, like, unalterable. It's not something that I really want it to be altered much. I just want whoever it's meant for to get it in its raw form. So that's why I decided, well, if I'm going to do this, it's something that I'm going to publish, myself, and put it out there. But I also, looking ahead and looking forward, I actually want to create a space where other people who have a desire to create very raw and very personal work to inspire people while they're journeying, I want to create a space for people to do that. Not everyone may be up for self-publishing, but I'd be happy to create a space to, like, help walk people through that process and publish their work as well.
What are you struggling with most on your road to entrepreneurship?
I am definitely trying to turn my passion into a business. I'm probably mostly struggling with the doing aspect of things, having a vision. I realize I'm a big picture person. Strategy is my thing. Like, I can see the picture, but taking the steps to actually get there has, been something that doesn't always come easy or natural for me. So I'm really learning how to create steps, sustainable steps along the way, and also consider, like, this is the service that I'm offering, or if this is the product that I'm offering, how am I pricing it? What do I feel is fair? What do I feel is worth the time and effort that I'm putting into it? So I'm thinking about all of those things as I navigate and journey the space. But I think that's probably the hurdle that I'm dealing with right now.
What are you discovering about entrepreneurship?
I'm discovering it's not linear, just like life and everything else. I would think of, like, this blueprint, like, you have an idea, you write a business plan, you do this, you do that, but it hasn't necessarily been that way for me. And so I'm learning that every day is a new day. It definitely takes a lot of consistency, persistence, and positive self-talk and all these things. Like, it really does take that, and it takes an enormous amount of faith, which is something else. Is, I'm journeying through that and just having complete faith in what it is that I'm doing. But yeah, I would say it's definitely not linear. There's not really a blueprint. Even if someone else has done it already, you can get, like, ideas from that. But when something is, like, really from the heart and is something that you're creating, you're going to run into your own set of circumstances and essentially be creating your own blueprint as you go. Not to reinvent the wheel, but when it's personal, it's going to come up with its own personal set of circumstances to overcome.
What advice do you have for people who have a passion and or want to start a business?
My advice is definitely follow your passion, however it looks and however it turns out. I think starting a business is a beautiful thing. I also think sometimes we discount businesses that are already in existence, that we can offer our skill set to. I think we're moving into a space and a culture where it's, everyone has to, do their own thing, have a skill, start a business. The 9 to 5 is frowned upon quite often. Like, oh, you got a job, like a job. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. There are companies and businesses that need to be run. And I think it takes a unique skill set to actually start and run a business. Not everybody may not have that particular skill set, but you might have a skill set that can totally benefit and evolve a company that's already in existence. So I would say follow your passion, follow your heart, and see where it leads you. It might lead you to starting your own, but it might lead you to a company that's already in existence that you can take to another level. And I don't think that should be frowned upon at all, as long as you're being true to yourself. And if what you're creating calls for you to create something new, do it. Like, go after it with all you have. But I say don't shy away from what society or what people are, shunning these days, because it's necessary. They're workers, they're supervisors, there's all different types of skill sets. And I think where you could feel good, feel passionate, like you're making an impact, then go there and do that and give it all you got.
What are you discovering about yourself on this journey?
I've discovered so much about myself, my skills, a lot about my skills. Because typically I do what the task is for me to do. And I've been taking time to assess like the things that I'm really good at, and how much I actually do enjoy people and interacting with people. Like, relationship building is my jam. Like, if I could do that all day long. I want people to feel good. I always want to leave people with something. And I believe when people have interactions with me, they are always left with something. Like, whatever it is, a listening ear, a word of advice, thought, a way to think of something differently. Like, I pride myself on that because I really, really do care about people, and I care about the interactions that I have with people. So that's something that I've been learning about myself, because I would historically consider myself an introvert. Like, don't talk to me. But no, not really. I really do like talking to people. It lights me up. It really does. Those interactions do a lot for me. I've been having to go internal a lot and really depend on my own strength and power, which is quite a journey. It's really an amazing journey, and I'm still a baby on the journey of just walking in my innate power. It's new, it's different. It's so easy to not take responsibility, but I think in the world of entrepreneurship, in the world of like living a passion-driven life, you have to take responsibility for things when they're working, when they're not working. That doesn't always feel good, but I'm learning that feelings are fleeting, and it's just dealing with like the facts of a situation. So yeah, I'm learning a lot about myself. Sometimes too much, but you know what? It's never too much, because everything that I learn about myself, well, most of what I learn about myself, I write about it and I share it in some way, because I do believe anything that I'm going through, it's not just for me at all, but it's for anyone that comes in contact with me. It's for, like I said, generations to come. I sometimes I wonder, I see super successful people and I'm like, did they always know that like this was going to be the outcome? What were those moments of doubt? And we don't always get those stories, but I know no matter what success level I reach, I'm always going to share and be willing to share about the journey, because so many of us get lost in the journey because it just becomes too much. And so as I learn about myself, I also am willing to share those learnings with people, and in hopes that others will be willing to be so vulnerable and share too, because you never know what you can learn from someone in their own personal journey, no matter where they are on their journey, because again, it's not linear. Like, none of this is linear.
What don't people get to see about your journey?
Very few people get to see the self-doubt. It's like I don't lead with it. Very few people get to see the breakdowns and the tears. I have a small group that know in and out, and that encourage me and push me forward. But I have so many moments of, is this making sense? What am I doing? I have so many why moments that in the grand scheme of things aren't important, but it's easy to get caught up in the why, like, why is this coming to me so strong? Like, why do I have to do this? And so I had those moments. And it's also like, am I the one? Am I the one to birth this? Am I the one for this to come through? And it's like, yes, you are. And so people, and especially as I grow, I think more and more people will get to see the yes, you are, and the doing, the manifestation of it. But people don't get to see what it takes or what it took to get there. And I think about that with social media. You know, you follow someone's page and you see the, perfectly, manicured page, and it's like great. Or you see them overcoming their fears, or you see them traveling, and all this stuff is wonderful, but it doesn't account for what it took to get there. And for some people, it doesn't matter. It's not important. But for me, and the way I'm choosing to live my life, that is an important part that people don't get to see. And at the same time, if someone asks or if it comes up, I'm going to always be willing to share, because I think it's an important part of the journey.
Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram. It's at Shyah.sd, SHYAH.sd. You could follow my blog at loveliftedme.blog. You can follow my doula page at A Lineage of Love. And now that I'm saying this, I should probably create a hub for all of this stuff to live. But if you go to my Instagram, you'll be able to find in the bio a link for Love Lifted Me. And The Lineage of Love is doula work. We have a website too, lineageoflove.com. So that's where I'm at.
Did you always know that this is what you would do?
No. It's kind of mind-blowing in a lot of ways, because I did not know that I was going to do this. I always wanted to work in the music industry. I always wanted to work in entertainment, and that's what I've been doing for the most part of my career. I studied public relations. I've worked within the music industry. Even my job now, while it's corporate nonprofit, my role is still heavy in entertainment. I remember being very young and saying that I wanted to be a psychologist. And I also remember being very young and my grandmother, the same grandmother who visited me in my dream, she passed away in, what was that, 2004? That same grandmother, when I was just a kid, told me, like, you're going to be a nurse. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I don't like hospitals. I don't want to do that. And it hadn't crossed my mind again until I attended that birth, and it completely took me over. So I'm just surrendering to what it is for me to do in this lifetime. I didn't plan it, and if I was, writing the script to my own life, I don't know that this would be it. But it's definitely what's been written for me and what's destined for me.
Thanks, Shyah.
Thank you.
Very comfortable.